This week on the Big Boss Book Club, I'm speaking with Jim from fabtcgcards.com. We're talking the Azalea cult, we're talking Flesh and Blood, we're talking those damn wonderful welcome cocktails from the Moxie Hotel in Birmingham. All that and more this week on the Big Boss Book Club. Welcome back. So you've already seen the title of this week's show, so we'll jump in. I'm joined by a fantastic guest who we're going to chat with about their journey into the world of tabletop gaming. I had the honour of sharing a meal and a few drinks with this individual at the Calling in Birmingham, where we discussed life over the welcome cocktails at the Moxie Hotel. Co-host of the Azalea Cult, card player, store owner, Jim, welcome to the Big Boss Book Club. How's it going, sir?
Oh, thank you so much, Tom. It's going fantastic, and I really appreciate the invite and being on the cast. And those welcome cocktails, they were something, weren't they?
That's literally the first thing on my to talk about list. It's literally like those that were I've been literally saying to people. There was someone on Az's Discord was like, "Oh, I was in the hotel and I didn't like the cocktail." I was just like, "What are you on,
It's
mate?"
not possible. It's not possible.
It was a fantastic. So, just for people at home, it was a gin with infused with tea, and it was like fruit juices, and then it was like ice and like an orange peel. It was just extraordinary. And
Now, I
we
have to admit, at first, when they said one of the ingredients was tea, I was like, I don't know about that, but oh my gosh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, like it blew my mind when they said it to me because I'm not really a gin person. I'm more of a whiskey guy. And so it was like, oh, it's gin. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll have it. And then, wow,
Yeah.
and the fact that we both managed to. Well, I mean, you technically shouldn't have had one anyway, but that bar staff in that hotel were just like looking around very shadily, walking away, and then coming back with the glasses. Like, oh,
No, they
thank you
treated
so
us
much.
really well. It was a fantastic hotel.
Yeah, I would massively recommend that hotel. Actually,
Mhm.
and I'm glad I made the swap to there because we were in a different hotel to start with, and we moved to that one.
Oh,
We
oh,
cancelled.
interesting.
It was only because a friend of mine cancelled, so we were going to go as three originally, and then a friend of mine cancelled, so I was like, okay, we'll get two room, and that room was cheaper, so we'll cancel the other room, get this room, and then so originally I think we were in the Hilton, I think originally, and then it's like, oh, okay, actually we're in here now, and I'm like, oh, if I'm ever going down to Birmingham again, it's
It's the Moxie. Yeah.
it's the Moxie. um, So also, actually,
Yeah.
before we do go any further, second point on my to talk about list before we get into questions was wanted to thank you for choosing my sharpened karambit as the as your winner for the Azalea Colts choose a bow, create a bow competition. I know it wasn't a bow, but I think a knife was far more suited to the
Yeah.
argument.
Just something that we really wanted to. So, that had a lot to
Mm.
do with it, but it was a great creation.
Oh yeah, do you know what? The funny thing is, I used to sit and do so I used to play WWE Raw Deal, and I used to sit and me and my friends we would come up with like fantasy cards all day, and I still love doing it now to a degree. But yeah, it was fun. But yeah, very much thank you for choosing that. I was like, wait, and then Kel
Oh
was
no,
like, oh, I'd have chose
the
this.
whole contest was awesome. Like I personally, I'm not that much of a creative type, and being able to come up with things like that from scratch on my own. So just
Mm.
seeing how creative everybody else was a lot of fun. And we actually should probably do that again sometime.
Yeah. I think he did another one, didn't he? Was it an arrow? Create an arrow. I think there was one. I
There was
didn't do that
the
one.
weapon and then arrow. Is the two that we've done from what I recall. But you'll have to ask Az if we can spin it up some other way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I'm still, some people did go crossbow instead of bow, but like I still would like to see a one-handed crossbow to have that offhand. So maybe we could do a crossbow contest or something.
That could be pretty cool, actually. Like a little huntress thing, like, or two one-handed
Yeah, if
crossbows.
that's your,
Go
pick your
huntress.
poison, do that, or have a melee and a crossbow.
Oh, yeah. Cool. So we'll jump into questions.
Yeah.
Like I said before we started, nothing totally out of sight. Question I used to usually like to open with is, how did you get into tabletop gaming? What is your in? What's your startup in it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, I grew up kind of before video games really got too popular. I mean, we had the NES, and that was about it. And I
Okay.
did have an NES, but it was not really. We played it kind of like on the weekend or whatever. my group of friends that I had at the time, we were getting into D&D, and that was actually my foray into tabletop was
Okay.
D&D. We just we didn't know what we were doing. We were trying to figure it out and just having fun, really. Uh, but and also that was during an era that D&D wasn't well tolerated here in the States. This was kind of the early 90s, and it was kind of basically equated to like devil worship.
Yeah. So
So once some of our parents found out we were doing that, we had to kind of either hide it or get rid of it.
yeah, that's something that's brought up randomly, completely randomly. Stranger Things in season three,
Yes,
three,
actually, that
four.
that show hit home for me quite a bit,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Because when I first saw it, and they were like, "Oh, it's these devil worshippers," I thought that can't be right. So it actually was like a real
No,
thing.
it
People did
seriously was,
associate it.
especially I don't know if it was nationwide, but I'm from the southern U.S. and kind of we call it part of that the Bible Belt, and there
Okay.
was a lot of not just with that, like there was a lot of anti some of the music, like you shouldn't listen to hard music or you know much less
Oh
metal, just like heavy rock or anything like that. They were condemning, and it was not good. Um,
no.
where it's gotten a lot better. Like that's unfortunately kind of passed over. But yeah, that's why we didn't really. That was the first, but it didn't last very long because we eventually had to give it up. So we did.
Huh.
We started just doing some tape like regular board games and things to pass the time. But then I did get into Magic actually. So that was my first card game, and I was in it for only a couple of years in high school. When I was leaving for college, basically, when I got there, I couldn't find anybody that played. Like, they didn't really have a local game store like I had that was at least close to me that I had back home. And then people in my dorm that I was in and stuff had, oh yeah, had never. A lot of people had never even heard of it. So I just ended up putting the cards away and I sold them eventually.
Okay.
Um, yeah, probably big mistake, I'm
But
sure.
say anything in there you think that could have been a big value card now?
I truthfully can't even remember
Didn't have
a
a
lot of
Black
what I
Lotus,
had.
mint
I
condition
know I
Black
didn't have a
Lotus or something.
Lotus. Yeah, I know I didn't have a Lotus, but I don't remember. Like, I don't think I had any of the Power Nine. So, because I probably would have kept them just because they were what they were.
Mm,
But yeah, and then I gave up cards for a long time. I did
okay.
eventually get into PC gaming quite a bit at college. So I got into
Okay.
EverQuest right as that had started. So I played that massive multiplayer online role playing game or whatever MMORPG.
Ah, okay. I was going to say I've not. It's not one I've heard of. I'll be completely honest with
Yeah,
you.
it was a really big one, at least in the U.S. Technically, it wasn't the first because Ultima Online was the first, but that was like 2D, and EverQuest was the first 3D MMORPG, and it uh, went on for a while. I think it launched in '97 or '98, something like that. And I played that for a great deal through college, but also I got more into video games, more into computer gamings in general, and I did that for a while. It much a little bit later in life, graduated college, get a job, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I As I started to have a little more free time, I wanted to get back into tabletop games, and actually, COVID was a catalyst for that too. It's just kind of craving that human interaction, not the virtual interaction through games and things.
Okay.
I thought that could be a way to really kickstart that, me getting back into in person. Because I have a lot of game stores near me now where I live now. So I was like, oh, I could go to game stores and get back into some social gaming, in person gaming rather. So yeah, I was looking actually to get back into Magic, and I was a little intimidated. I was
Okay. What?
It
Why
was
was that?
nothing like what I remembered. It was the whole like sets coming out every couple of months. The card pool was massive compared to, and all the different game types. None of that existed when I was playing. Like it was just one game,
Yeah.
essentially. And so I was like, this is overwhelming. I don't know if I can get into it. I was still going to give it a try. However, in that research, I found Flesh and Blood, and this was
Okay.
um, it was actually Rudy. I was watching some of his videos about
Uh,
magic, and he did a video basically saying, "Hey, I got sent this stuff from Legend Story, and it was the alpha. Welcome to Wraith or whatever."
okay.
Yep, and started. talking about it, and as soon as he said, "This is kind of like Diablo meets Magic or something," and I was like, "I love the video game Diablo," so I was like, "Well, that's enough. Like, I need to go check it out." And so yeah, I just did a little research. It was actually pretty hard to find in the U.S. at the time. I had to
Mm,
order some. I actually ended up making friends with Bill from Reaper Games. Got a game store in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and they ship worldwide. They also make Reaper minifigures for anybody that does D&D and uses minifigures.
nice.
They're pretty big with that. But he would ship me product, and then eventually, I had a local store, and that's actually what I'm sure we'll get into later. But what drove me to start the online shop that I have, and then yeah, that kind of was has been the driver for my tabletop gaming lately is just Flesh and Blood.
Oh wow.
Although
So
I still
because
do, I did I left that out. I did meet a crew at work that does D&D, so I got back into that, and I do a
ah nice.
weekly D&D game now.
Ah, nice, fair play. I've a couple of things. So we've just
Yeah,
started one in As's Discord. I say we've just started it. I didn't even get to the first session. I couldn't get there, so
yeah,
I was like, "Oh, great!" So I'm so good. I'm hoping I can get to the second one. And it'll be the first time I'm ever playing D&D. I've never played it. Like I've had a couple of friends who've been like suggesting it, like, "Oh, we could
yeah,
play, or we could do a game," and nothing's just ever panned out from it. So as
yeah,
soon as like Andrew from Az's Discord was like, "Hey, I want to set up
yeah,
a game. Who's interested?" I was like, "You know what? Throw my name in the hat. I'll get involved." Um, but I know what you mean. And what you said about like coming back into a game. So Magic isn't my game. Not really. Black Lotus is literally the only card I could probably tell you, and that's just because I know how famous it is. But
sure,
for me, it was Yu-Gi-Oh. So
okay,
I'm like 2003 I get into Yu-Gi-Oh. It's pretty much it's like the first set, so I'm like on floor
so
one.
from the ground floor, basically,
Yeah,
yeah,
ground floor. Yeah, not floor one. Who am I kidding? Then then I go to uni, and then I'm kind of coming back. I'm playing with my cousin and his stepson, and it's all very, very, very friendly, all very, very casual. How can we play just like they do in the TV show? And then I come back from uni 2010. Me and a friend of mine says, "Hey, I'm going to go play. I've not played in a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in ages. I'm going to go play in one. Do you want to come with me?" I'm like, "Okay, I've got a free Saturday. Let's do it."
yeah,
Oh my god, I was like, this game is not the game that I started playing back in like 2003, and now it's even further away from where that game was, and I hated that version of the game. And yeah, it's very
almost a similar
daunting.
experience then, just with
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh instead of Magic.
yeah, it's so daunting when you see it, and you're like,
Yeah,
I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, these three cards like in every deck, and each copy is like 50 quid. You're like, you know what? There's the expense value to it, side to it as well. Where it's like, I barely get to play this game. I'm not spending £150 on three copies of a card that I will probably never really want to use.
oh for sure.
Um, well, actually, that knocks a couple of questions I had out because I was going to ask you if you played any of them Did you ever play Magic in a competitive way, like in a
No, no,
real
no, no.
hardcore?
Yeah, I at the time I don't even think we in my little group of friends that we were playing, I don't think we even looked into how to do that.
No.
We were quite literally tabletop playing. Like that's all it ever became. I actually went to the high school that I went to was residential. So like I lived in a dorm, and
Okay.
in the dorm is where we would play it. So like that this is also not to date myself that we didn't have internet in the dorms. We had there wasn't a whole lot of other to do other than do things like that, play games or get into trouble.
Like it. Yeah. Well, I suppose in that way, then that probably answers the next question. Because I was going to say, were you saying about D&D? What were people's thoughts on Magic? Because surely some of I know Red Zone Rogue said when we spoke, there was some people who were like, "What is this devil worship you're playing here?" I suppose you probably didn't have to worry about that if you're in a dorm.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to remember. I think my parents then knew that I was buying the card packs and things, but I don't think they looked into it or like paid enough
Mm.
attention to it to have to form that opinion. And then exactly me being away. Like I'd come home fairly often, but and doing it in the dorm, they never saw us playing it.
Okay. How far away was the school from your home then?
About an hour.
Okay. Yes, they
Yeah.
wasn't oh, we'll just nip round, see him. What is this devil worship you're?
Yeah.
What are these? Why are there skulls on these cards? Like, wow.
It
Nuts
was
that
also
actually.
only my last 2 years of high school.
Oh,
So
okay.
it wasn't a full high school experience.
Oh, okay. Fair play. Um, so flesh and blood then.
Yeah.
So we'll dive in. What's the first? Because you said you did some research and came into it. So what was? So we've had the Rudy video. What came after that? Was it like where to buy? Uh, what was that sort of process?
Yeah, I scoured YouTube to find as much other info I could find. That's actually how I eventually linked up with both Kel and Steven. They were two
Okay.
of the first to really start making videos about Flesh and Blood that I found, at least, other than some New Zealand creators. The So yeah, I actually linked up with him. I'm good friends with him still from doing that initial connection. And they actually, it was Steven, I think, that pointed me, because he lives in that same area as Bill from Reaper Games, and I believe it may have been
Uh-huh.
him. I'm trying to remember if it probably was that referred me to him and said, "Oh, you can get product from him. Like, he supports it. He runs events or whatever." So that started me getting product. At that point, obviously, it was still, we were kind of either, I think we were starting to lock down at that point. So I was
Mm.
trying to solicit some of my local game stores to get into it.
Hmm.
So like I would take the product I had bought and I'd bring it to the store and be like, "Hey, check out this game. You guys should carry this." And I was, other people that were there, I'd try to get them into playing the game. Um, Eventually, when one of the local game stores did start carrying it, I made an effort, once we could show up in person. There was a little time before that. It was actually, we could show up, I want to say, we were there. I remember being there in person with Arcane Rising released. So they may have
Okay.
started. We just had we had to wear the masks and had to, like, follow all the spacing and all that.
Yeah.
So we were in a local game store just before Arcane Rising's release, and from that, there was only like 6, 7, 8 of us, and we got really close. We still are close. Like, we still talk. We formed basically a local community on Discord. We formed a Facebook group for
Nice.
the local area, the metro area. We have a website for the local metro area, and we did all of that to help spread the game in our kind of general area, and help people coordinate. Um, and I think it has. I mean, I know it's helped. It's helped bring people together. I mean, it's still, especially the Discord channel, is used to help everybody know what store has what armor events on what night. Organize, like, where the tournaments are, when the skirmishes or the pro quests come up, etc.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's used pretty extensively, and that's we started going as well. So yeah, we once I spent a lot of time doing that, helping put that together with others, that community resource stuff, and then I was going every weekend I could to play at the one game store that had it. And then as things started opening up more, we had some more stores getting on board, and I started coming just to my closer local game store regularly. Then, unfortunately, for my work, I travel quite a bit, which is why I got to see you guys in the UK.
Yeah.
And the travel was off. Like, I wasn't traveling because of COVID, so I had all this time to do all of that. But as I've been traveling more, resuming travel for work, I haven't got to go as much as I'd like to locally, but every time I can, I do.
That's pretty cool, though, isn't it? So, yeah, because when I see, I got in through Team Covenant, so
Hmm.
I'm not a
I have a
really.
sub with them, actually. As soon
Oh,
as
do you have some
they
with them as
announced
well?
that, yeah, I got really excited about it, and I still have it. I do a case through them, so they send me a case. I have a case subscription or whatever. So
Oh, nice. You see, I had considered it at one point, but between the cost of the taxes that get added on at the end plus delivery
yeah,
charge, it was like you might as well just get something from the UK. They
that's
were
fair.
looking to do UK distribution at one point, but I don't think it ever. I don't think
I
it's.
remember them, Zach or somebody over there talking about that. So it never came to
Yeah,
fruition.
I think it did, but I think it was only with some tokens. So I actually bought a set of their. Flesh and Blood tokens through their UK distribution.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I mean, they're beautiful.
Yeah,
If
well,
I'm
I have
honest,
them. I picked them up as well, so I'm
yeah,
a fan.
they are really good. I
Between
didn't
them
get
and the
the
metal, I use a combination of them and the metal fab tokens.
okay. You see, I as weird as bad as it's going to sound, I don't use their tokens. I
Oh,
use buy the same token,
mhm.
and actually, since I won a metal fab token resource coin through the Flesh and Common Blood League,
Yeah,
I pretty much don't even. I only really use buy the same token stuff now for like the plus damages or on hits or
right.
armor tokens. The thingy. Uh, the Team Covenant tokens came at the end, and it was kind of a impulse buy. And then when
Sure.
I got them, I was like, I don't really need these.
Yeah,
I've kind of bought them, and I actually have a set of tokens that work perfectly fine as they are.
yeah,
Um, and I was like, well, I might as well just keep using them, keep the Team Covenant tokens safe and in the bag, and then at some point when these tokens are starting to fall apart or chip away or whatever, I can replace them then with the Team Covenant tokens.
yeah.
But the Metal Fab tokens are
Oh, absolutely.
pretty beautiful. Um,
I got
I,
the specifically the tunic one because I am terrible about forgetting my tunic trigger. So I figured the big old token
the
would help me look at it and
the
remember it.
dice one, or
No, 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 the metal token, the one
the
that's
actual.
got Fiandol on it on the front, and it's
Uh,
a big rectangular chunk of metal. It's you know it's gorgeous, but it's also helpful to look at and know that I need to flip it
yeah,
to indicate a trigger.
because I know they've done a dice now where it's got it's like one, two, three. Because Hamish from Push the Point
Push point, yeah.
has been doing sort of UK distribution for him,
Oh,
and
cool.
it was. I didn't actually mention this in episode 1 of this season where we talked about the Birmingham Nationals, the Leeds Nationals, but literally like we were in the Holiday Inn. We weren't even staying there. We were just there because that's where we knew most players were going to be. Um, and we were sat just having some food because we'd been and grabbed some food, and we were just having a pint. And then Hamish comes in, and clearly people were waiting for him because they were like waving at him and stuff. And he was like,
Yeah,
"Listen, guys, I'll be." Even my mate Martin was like, "Hamish, I want to speak to you about some tokens." And he went, "Guys, I'll be back in a minute." And literally, this guy comes down with this bag, plonks it on a table, opens up. He's got all these little sealed, clear, sealable bags, and he's putting them on the table,
it's
and
like a
people are
drug dealer.
gathering around. Literally, that's what it was like. It's like we were like, I looked at him and I was like, dude, you look like you're literally selling like someone from the hotel's going to come over and be like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, exactly. Or worse, they'll just call the cops straight on you.
Yeah, and the police will come in. Excuse me, sir. What are you selling?
Yeah,
I'm selling tokens.
yeah.
And yeah, but it looked like they did some good business. Like people were like, bing, 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 just taking. My mate
Oh,
Martin got
sure.
a massive coin. He wanted a smaller one as well. I was like, I can't buy any more tokens. I bought one of the debt boxes, the Rune Art House Syndicate debt boxes, and I was like, I
Oh, those
can't.
are sick. Yeah,
I mean, it is beautiful.
yeah,
I think they took my video the wrong way because I say at the beginning, oh, I stupidly made this purchase, but it's not stupid as in I thought it was a stupid thing to buy. I thought it was just a stupid thing to buy because I didn't really have the money to do it. I wanted
sure,
to buy
sure.
it, just didn't really have the money to do it. But
No, that was a pretty cool unboxing, by the way. I saw that.
oh, thank you.
And the product is that was the first real close up I'd seen of the product as well. So it was gorgeous.
I'd not seen anybody else do one, to be honest. Hank
Yeah,
did like a box open from Goblin Reserve, but it was like
yeah.
maybe like 5, 6 seconds. I wanted to actually open it in front of people and show it and actually have that experience because that was the first time I'd opened the box. I'd literally left it overnight. I'd had it since the day before. I'd
Hmm.
unsealed it so I could open it on the film, but I'd not opened the box. I'd not taken it out. So that was the first time looking at it in person. So I was like, it's the yeah, such a beautiful box. I actually can't wait to use it. But yeah, the but sort of tokens though, like yeah, the metal fab tokens are really good. I think they've got some really good um, products. The dice are a bit
Hmm.
pricey, but they look really good.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing really.
I mean, you get what you pay for.
That's it. And to be honest, that's why I've sort of gone with By the Same Token in the UK, because By the Same Token, they do some really, really nice tokens. And the tokens look really nice. They were the guys who did the on hits for the Birmingham calling event. The on hit token. Um they were the guys who did that. All right, slight technical error, but we are back. So we'll jump back into the train of thought that has now dissipated from before we cut. The Azalea cult. What? So my question originally was, who's the best hero in Flesh and Blood, and why is it Azalea?
Yeah, well, that's why the Azalea cult exists, to try to processize that Azalea is the best hero out there. It almost came true actually for a little while there, but no,
Oh
it
yeah.
really is just a long ongoing meme. We like her just because of the she's got so much character to her, so much
Mm.
that there is to like, and then. Me personally, like I knew I wanted to play her right from the start when Arcane Rising came out, just
Okay.
because she was a ranger. It was much less who she was, just that it's a ranger character, and I really like the ranger class,
Okay.
just in other games and things. So I was like, I'm trying her immediately, and then once the lore started to come out, I'm just like, oh my goodness, she's a badass, like
Mm.
totally. And so and then being the underdog, that's what made it even more fun. So like nobody plays her, nobody's backing her. So
No.
I'm not. I had already known I don't have the time to play competitively.
Yeah.
So I said I'm going to be a pretty casual player. Might as well play a hero that I really really like. In I don't really care if don't have a winning record, just so that I'm having fun.
Yeah. See, I'm the same with Viscerai. Like I well, I have a bit of a weird one. So when I started playing it, Rhinar was the hero that got me to buy,
Sure.
because I like the look of Rhinar. I like the idea of just this randomness, this big
Oh
beefy
yeah.
attacks.
Big
Um,
big random chunks. Yeah.
that's it. I just thought this is the type of hilarity that I like. Then when I actually started buying packs, it was Arcane Rising, and I was like, this Dash character seems interesting. So I was like looking at deck lists, trying to find out what people were playing. I was like dash 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 dash. Then I
Yep.
bought packs, and every card just seemed to be Runeblade, or like anything that was decent seemed to be Runeblade. So I was
Sure.
like, okay, well, who's this Viscerai guy then? And Viscerai is like, oh, you're a sword guy, but you're firing magical attacks at the same time. It's like, oh, that seems really cool, actually. So I sort of went all in on Viscerai. But me and Viscerai have a love hate relationship where I really love him, but he absolutely hates me. And anytime I turn up to an event playing as Viscerai, I just don't. I like so many naught threes, naught fours. It's just embarrassing. Um, and so yeah, so big. So unfortunately,
I think we have the same as and I relationship with Azalea. Love her, she hates us, but we can like it that way.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I get it. It's just it's nice in flesh, and somehow in Flesh and Blood that people can have that affinity to a hero. Like obviously we're
Oh
doing
yeah.
Bravo Bros, Miaz and
Hmm.
Pascal. I really love doing that. I Bravo always feels like there's never really much to talk about. It's like Bravo just turns up and he hits people with a hammer. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses, but he still just hits people with the hammer.
Yeah.
There's questions you
He's
can
a
ask.
slightly more consistent brute.
Yes, that's it. He doesn't need to worry about discarding cards. He's just going to swing the six every turn, regardless, and he doesn't care. Um, but yeah, so out of all the heroes in Arcane Rising, like okay, Azalea, we're going to roll with that. So what's the like for the Rangers? What so is that an option in D&D? Because I'm not gonna lie, I literally was just like, I don't know much about D&D. I literally was like, is this the type of character I can play? And Andrew went, yes. And I went, that's the character I'm going to play as. And I didn't really look too much into anything else. Is Ranger
Sure. Well, if it helps kind of envision some of it, D&D kind of really started using Lord of the Rings, the Tolkien's novels, as a lot of
okay?
inspiration. So a lot of the classes and races and everything from Tolkien's world carried over into D&D, and then they've just built on it. So yes, there is rangers in D&D. I played a ranger in EverQuest. I've played rangers in World of Warcraft.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I liked shooting arrows and having a pet in World of Warcraft. Like that was fun. So um, I I've always just liked almost exclusively ranged characters. Like if I'm not playing a ranger, I play a wizard or a sorcerer or something arcane. Uh, just it's just been my play style. Like I didn't care for toe to toe melee characters.
Okay. Uh, If you play Kano,
I have not even bothered to try to figure out Kano. If he was a little easier for me to sit down and learn in one session how to play, then maybe. But he obviously requires quite the learning curve, more so than the other classes, and I just haven't
mm,
committed.
yeah, yeah. I've only ever actually played against Kano once, and that was actually at the Leeds Battle Hand beginning of the year. And I mean, I was playing as, I mean, I had AB1. I was playing as Briar, and I won. The guy just was like doing all this stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, it hasn't worked out for me." And I was just like,
Sure.
"So, so,
Yeah.
so I win?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, you win." And I can't do enough damage to you to kill you before
Yeah.
your attack
They
hits
can't
me and kills me.
exactly.
And I was just like,
No,
"Woohoo!"
I'm same as you when I have had to play in the few callings, like when I go and I play in that, and I only play in the side events generally. I don't play in the main tournaments, but when I play a Kano, I'm just trusting what they're doing. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's I mean, slowly I know the cards well enough at this point that I know kind of what they're doing, but
Mm.
dedicated Kano players play so fast that it's
Oh
hard
yeah.
for me to keep up with what exactly they're doing. So I just trust them. It's like, you know what, just tell me when I'm dead or that I win, and we're good.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know when I need to do anything that activates my AB, my arcane barrier. Just let me know, and I'll see what. Because basically, I remember looking at this guy and him saying, "Okay, I'm gonna have to start doing my ability," and he started like pitching and banishing cards, and I
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
just said to him, I was like, I can block four. I have four pitch. I only have AB1. I can stop one or four attacks.
right.
That's it. It's like if you can do, I think it was on like maybe 26 life. It's like if you can do like 35, 32, 35 damage, I am dead. And he was just like, please let me do 35 damage. Please let me do 35. He's like, yeah, I can do like 24.
Yeah,
And I was just like, you ain't killing me, mate. And you're like, I think he was on something like 3, 4 life, and I just played a pumped up swarming gloomvale because I had nothing left. I was just
yeah.
like, I just nimblism swarming
Hail
gloomvale.
Mary.
Let's go for it. It's a 6 damage attack. I'm praying to God it'll do something. And the guy was like, "Yeah, you win." And I was like, "Whoa!" The guy next to me was looking out over at us, going, "Ooh, that was a close one." It's like, "How come you're only running AB1?" I was like, "Well, I'm going to kill or be killed. I'm not here to
Yeah,
pitch my deck.
no,
I'm
that's
here
it
to
right
attack."
there. Hmm.
Playing Red Line Briar. I'm not here for a good time.
My first Kano interactions were with Steven or DM Armada. When we
Okay.
went to some of those earlier events together with he, Kel, and I in the room, he was really he followed Kano for quite a bit at the beginning
Okay.
and was learning him and playing him. And so we'd sit just in the hotel room and play some games, and we'd whip up on me. I, of course, had Azalea or whoever we had like sitting around, and he picked up on it pretty quick. So most of what I did learn initially about Kano was playing him
Oh wow. Fair play. Fair play. How did you get to meet Az then? How does that come? How does that partnership form?
through Azalea, through the love of Azalea. So he had kind of latched onto her, um, as did I, and I think what really was kind of one of the main catalysts was um, I started using uh, the Azalea cult hashtag to do. I was doing these like tweets with Azalea, the card, like in different settings and scenes, and like I did a big run of them during one of my Disney trips where I was taking a picture of the Azalea card in various Disney locations and rides and things. And
That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure he reached out to me and was like, "Oh my," he's like, "Dude, fellow Azalea cult lover, like we should
Mm.
actually form this thing. Like, what do you think about doing, an Azalea cult?" And I was all about it. So I didn't have
Nice.
the time or the even the knowledge to set up the YouTube, etc.
Mm,
I kind of trickled into that streaming, etc. So he did all the work. He did all the legwork of setting it up. Hosts it on his channel, does all
mm,
that. I just join in and commentate. So it's mostly as his work there,
yeah.
but I'm happy to join him, and we have a blast with it. That if you saw the most recent spoiler that Az had, uh, it was a skit, and he let me basically participate with him to tease it and then spoil it. And man, that was fun, and I think it came out really amazing. So if you haven't seen as a spoiler for it was for the quiver, then definitely of Abyssal Depths. Sorry, the Quiver of Abyssal Depths.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, go check it out because it was a good deal of effort and it turned out really awesome.
Ah, nice. See, yeah, because actually have to try and think back. I don't even know how I came across as. Um, 'Cause it doesn't feel like something that would happen because I'm
Was it
not
the
an Azalea
Discord maybe?
player. No, I honestly don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe Twitter, or X, whatever it wants to call itself now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's going to be
Possibly.
the site formerly known as Twitter for a while.
Yeah, I had this. So I was recording with my other friend Jim last night. Actually, not last night, the night before, and that'll be on after this episode. So that'll be in the future. And he was like, "Oh, I'm on Twitter," and I was just like, "Oh, excuse me, mate. What's Twitter? I don't know what you're on
Yeah,
about." And he's like, "I'm not calling it X." I was like,
yeah,
"It says X. The logo says X.
yeah.
Not retweets anymore. It's reposts."
Oh,
But he was like,
I didn't even think about that. How funny.
he was like, not calling it X. I was like, oh, that's a shame.
Then what do you say instead of I'm tweeting something out? You can't say I'm Xing it. Like what?
was
How does that
wasn't
work?
it wasn't it something like an yeah, X claim or it's something like that? It's something along the lines that it
Oh
was supposed to
gosh,
be. I
dang.
think
Yeah, that didn't
an
catch
X
on.
claim. No, it's definitely not catching on. It's definitely not catching on. I don't think that's going to be. It wouldn't actually surprise me if they changed the name back. It really wouldn't surprise me. Give it 12 months, maybe a slightly tweaked logo. Maybe
Yeah, maybe. I don't know because Musk, I don't know. He can be unpredictable sometimes.
true, true. He's yeah. It's nuts. People, I know people like I don't know. It still feels like the same place. You can change the name of it. Go on Twitter.
What I kind of foresee is maybe he will get it to a point to where it's profitable and then he'll sell it and then whoever
Mm,
buys it'll change it back to Twitter. Maybe I could see
yeah,
that happening.
yeah. Do you think that's what he's going to do then? Just, I know we're not talking about Flesh, but it's fine. Do you think that's the thingy? There's because obviously when he bought it, it was a massive black hole, um, because of the actual morons who were running it. But like, do you think that's the goal? Like, hey, I'm going to just make this a moneymaker, and as soon as it's in the black, I'm like getting, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a property developer in my brain now, like Strike to come in and put it up for sale, get people. This is the ex offices. Would you like to look around? And
Sure. I mean, I don't. I'm not even going to begin to think that I can guess what Musk is going to do. But he is a businessman and he's in it to make money. So I could see it that. I mean, I guess one of the reasons he said he bought it was he wanted to make it a more free speech platform or whatever.
mm,
Uh,
I get that.
so he has made changes to the sensors and whatever. But
Mm,
I think after a while, it's a challenge for him, like to make it profitable.
mm,
If it does not become profitable, I think he'll dump it. If it does, then I think he'll eventually sell it.
yeah, yeah. I suppose that's one of the issues, isn't it? Because there's been like, what do you allow? What do you not allow? And then it's like, well,
Oh yeah,
if you're a free speech platform, technically you need to allow everything.
yeah,
But then actually you can't really allow everything
right,
because
right,
there's some things that you do need to be like, hey, come on, probably shouldn't be saying that.
yeah,
And yeah, there's lots of arguments about it. Obviously, I won't go into deep depth, but yeah, like it is. It's interesting. When I first heard he was buying it, I was like, come on, dude,
yeah,
just just keep trying to launch spaceships.
yeah.
just Someone's got to build the
Seems
USS
underneath that,
Enterprise.
but whatever. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
interesting though because Flesh and Blood, just to I guess to kind of turn it back into that, it
yeah,
is 100% like the biggest communities on Twitter, so or X. See, still doing it.
yeah.
Um, so what will happen to the Flesh and Blood community eventually? Like if it does fail or whatever, like where would it go? So because it is just so easy to follow and interact with everybody on that platform.
Yeah, so actually, it's funny you say that actually, because I always do it on Bravo Bros, and I'm relying now. Pascal and As always look to me to provide them the update. The Hive Social is still active. Remember when everyone was going to Hive Social? Twitter was being abandoned. Everyone was moving to Hive Social. That
I
lasted.
didn't realize it actually ever took off.
It didn't. I think it got like maybe a few thousand additional people in maybe its first 48 hours or something. And then after that, it's like Threads. Everyone's like, I'm
Yeah,
going to Threads. No one's gone to Threads. Everyone's
yeah.
back on Twitter/X. It never. The only reason I haven't deleted my Hive social account is because it's the only place where Zach Bond follows me.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
I'm outright refusing to get rid of it because it's the only place I can say that Zach Bond follows me. And
Awesome.
if I can one day get him to follow me on X, I'll delete Hive Social in a minute,
There
like
you go.
or Instagram. If you follow me on one of them two platforms, I will.
Well,
I
Zach
will.
Covenant, you heard it. Help
Yeah,
get this man off of Hive.
off Hive Social. And 'cause at the end of every Bravo Bros, it's always like, Tom, what's the update? Is Hive Social still there? I'm like, it is still there. Um, like As put like he just wrote on there, like I think it was something like anal. He just wrote anal, and that was the post. And there was only like two people who liked it, me and Pascal. That was it. It's just like
There you go. Oh
okay.
my goodness.
It's like there's no one on there. Yeah, and Threads was the same thing. Everyone's like, oh, I'm leaving now. I'm going to Threads. 2 days later, posting back on X again. It's like,
Yeah, I didn't try it myself, but I had a close friend that did, and he actually said that there was a lot of functionality missing. That he said it wasn't ready, like there wasn't enough features
oh,
there. So
that's it, isn't it? I mean, it was launched as a rival thing. It was clearly rushed out.
premature.
Um, yeah, I think, but that's a good question though. I mean, Discord is something, I guess, but the problem with you,
It's not as centralized. Like you have, uh, pockets of fab groups all over the place, but there's
mm,
not really even the main community one. After kind of the Wall Street fallout thing, a lot of people left it, so it's not fully complete either. So
Wall Street Fallout thing.
yeah, there was. I don't actually have the full details, but there was a channel in the main Fab community Discord that was called
Mm,
Wall Street or
yeah.
something along those lines. And apparently, I don't know exactly what happened, but Rudy he actually did a video about it and said something that was being posted in there that was I don't know if it was slamming him or calling him out or something. And he basically did a thing in his Patreon that said anybody that's in that channel, you're no longer a Patreon of mine. Like I'm banning you or whatever. And everybody freaked out. So there was and I'm
Wow.
definitely not fully filling all that in because I don't have all the details, but yeah,
Oh wow.
I know a lot of people left because of that, and I'm still in it, but I have to admit I rarely go check through it. I'm mostly in as is Discord if I'm on
Ditto.
Discord.
Mm,
And spending time there as well as my local DC area Discord. So those are the two that I
nice.
spend the most time in.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm mainly in As is. I don't even have the UK one because there was like a load of hoo ha about that, and I remember a while ago something about it was a store that was running it. The store were getting rid of it. They sold it on to another store, and nobody liked the store they were selling it to, and I was just like, why am I getting all these notifications? And I just left.
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah.
So it's just like bye. Still in the globe, like the big global one. Then um I'm in As is Discord, and then I'm in the Flesh and Common Blood. I'm in quite a few Discords,
Oh, I'm in quite a few
way too
too, and I'll
many.
I'll pop in, but those are the ones I primarily spend time in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. It does make sense. I wish there was a more local one, to be honest, because
Yeah,
the problem I have is that I have to drive like 40 minutes to get to a once a month armory, um, and
yeah,
there's
that's no
no
fun.
there's no local there's no way to get like a local thing really driven. Even though saying that though, there is more players in crew now than there was like 12 months ago. 12 months ago, it was me on my own. Now there's like four. So it's like, well,
Honestly, that's kind of how we started. Like I was driving
mm,
that store that I was going to that was the only one in the DC area that had it. It was about 45-minute drive for me.
oof.
So I was doing that over and over. And then it was just the our my more local community started really small, but we set up all that stuff anyway. We were like, just even though there was two or three of us, we started a Discord, and now it's got 100 and something people in it.
Oh,
So it just
nice.
organically will grow as long as there's people jumping in and playing the game.
Yeah. So, because I haven't been for a few months because with having the new baby and stuff, it's just
Oh,
not
I
been
know how
it's
that
not
is.
been reasonable. But I'm hoping the end of September to start going back again. And my understanding is it's gone from, if we're fully stocked, which in Touchwood we should be, it's gone from me, the store owner, and like Andrew Mason, who gets into as is Discord. It's gone from like three of us to between 10 and 12 people, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think
Yeah,
for an armory, I think that's got to be on par in the UK. It's
yeah.
got to be on par with like the bigger armories, which I know it's only once a month, but it feels like that's good, especially if we can make that consistent and have that level.
Sure. I mean, it's
And
all relative to the player base. How many people you're going to get? What was the? Did you see the Manila Armory that they tweeted about the other day? Flesh and Blood,
no, no,
something crazy, like 70 something people to a weekly armory, like
ooh,
in Manila, which is a very large city. So it's got to be kept into perspective. However, that's awesome. Like
but I say yeah for a
massive.
weekly. That there's definitely not enough promos in that prize kit to cover all them people.
No, no.
That's a
Hopefully, the distributor and LSS were aware and they got multiple prize kits or something like that. But
I
who
hope
knows?
so.
Yeah,
Because I mean, what like 77 players? That's what like got to be like five rounds of Swiss, and then maybe some
they
more.
must have. I don't know how they didn't talk about how they handled it, but it almost like they have to separate it out into separate tournaments and not really cross them over.
Yeah, because that's nuts. That is 77 people for an armory. Wow. Okay. Yeah, my 10, 12 people far away from that.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
we actually we're still in my local area. We go from depending on the time of year and season, we'll go from like 6 to maybe 12. So in my local store, we get quite a few more for the skirmish and the ProQuest, but
Yeah,
for just the weekly armory, yeah, it's around there.
yeah. I still feel that's a good consistent number of people. Like I used to run raw deal tournaments, and I used to get only about anywhere between 8 to 10 people. If we
Hmm.
had, we'd maybe have a few people. If like the prize kit was good, we'd maybe get a few people from a bit further afield. Like we had a couple like the Shrewsbury guys who would see pretty regular when the kits were like good, and a few of the lads from Stoke had dropped by. But generally, 8 to 10 people was what I was looking at, and that was a once a month event as well. So that was pretty consistent. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like 10 to 12 is a good. Even six
Yeah,
to 12 is a
and it
good
is
number.
depending on the area because, like, I know that our scene. So we have near me the metro area for DC is actually DC, Maryland, and Virginia, kind of
Right.
all together. And the stores that are in Maryland, which are pretty far from me, have quite a bit more attendance. So it's just wherever the players are concentrated because those armories usually get closer to 20 a session. So
Wow.
yeah, it really just is. You never know how the makeup's going to be. I assume when you're closer to like universities and more students and things, you might get more people to your
Yeah.
armories, things like that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So we'll move forward. So, what
Yeah, sure.
is the thought process? What was the? I need to open an online store.
I, it really probably wasn't one thing. It was more. I really like this game. I'd like to see it succeed. I'd like to be involved as much as I can with helping it to succeed. And I had a theory that, especially early on, it's not as much the case now, singles were not going to be easily found. Their TCG player at the time was not carrying it. There wasn't eBay might have a few here and there, etc. Uh, but I actually wrote LSS and said, "Hey, here's the deal. I'm only finding the product uh, by mail order. And eventually, I had a local game store that had it. I really like it. I myself cannot run a local game store. I have a already have a 9 to 5 job. I'm not going to quit it, etc. Um, but I'd love to help any way I can. And it was also this is again during lockdowns, so I had a lot of extra time. So I researched like how to start a business, how to do the procedures, basically in the U.S. for doing that, and how to get in, up on running with e-commerce, etc. So LSS wrote me back and said, "Look, thanks for offering. We're happy to have you help. uh, Here's the deal: we'll allow you to make an account with the distributors, buy product, but
Okay.
because you're not brick and mortar, we're going to kind of lock you down to singles only, single cards only." And then they had me put like some disclaimers on my site about how I'm not affiliated with LSS, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So I said, yeah, absolutely. So that's what I do. That's why I don't have sealed on my online store.
Mm.
I only have singles, and that's part of the deal, part of the stipulation. Actually, there was a handful of us that started doing that in the U.S. With online stores. I think I might be the last one still doing it in the U.S. at least,
Okay.
because either some of the like I started so two guys that I really closely talked with that had web stores were Travis with Forged what can I say it um, Fab Foundry, um,
Okay.
and he opened a brick and mortar shop. So he graduated basically from online to brick and
Nice.
mortar. And then I was working with Mitch, who had what was his store's name? Oh, geez. Yeah, everything's leaving my head today. Sorry about that. But he, after about a year and a half or so, just decided it wasn't for him and stopped selling it.
Okay.
There may have been one or two others, I don't know, but after those two left, I had one of the meetings with LSS at one of the events, and it was mentioned that they believed I was the last legacy, as they call it, account, meaning accounts allowed to buy from distribution that aren't brick and mortar.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Okay.
so uh, I've just kept up with it. It's very possible in the future I just won't be relevant. But for now, people are still buying. I'm happy to provide another source for singles. If they ever really get into the LGSs, like if all the LGSs start really selling singles and stocking them, I probably will. I'll have to just bow out, which I'm happy to do, because I won't be as relevant then. But until then, if people need it, I'm happy to do it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I was actually going to say, like, did you have any in-store working in a store experience? Did you have that in your background?
Not at all.
No.
No, I'm yeah, no, I'm a computer engineer. I'm an IT guy. I don't run business.
Mm.
I don't have any business history, anything like that. So
Oh, nice.
um, it was like I did all the research during COVID and that was just for doing an online shop. I started off with a free platform, and I just to make sure I was gonna do okay with it, and just to see how well the business took off if it was going to before I invested too much into it.
Okay.
And outgrew that pretty quickly. So then I went over to Shopify, which is what a lot of people use now, and you learned how to use Shopify, set up the site, and then got a business license. In the U.S. we call them LLCs, limited liability corporations. That's basically telling the government you're going to be a business essentially.
Okay.
Um, so
That
I
sounds
set
like
all that
Company's
up.
House over here. We have
Okay.
Company's House. You basically have to register a business with them, and they have all your details in a public
Yep.
forum, basically, so the tax
Yeah.
man can come after you if he needs to.
That's precisely what this is. We do it on a state by state basis. It's not federal, but
Okay.
I registered with my state to form an LLC essentially, so that they know that I exist and that I'm a business.
Oh, nice. It's funny you say because I've just this past week filed my because I set up a limited company last year
Yeah.
with the intention of opening up my own brick and mortar store, which I'm now more closer to doing. I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Oh, that's
Um,
fantastic.
uh, but I just had to file my online annual online filings because last year I filed as dormant because I
Sure.
wasn't
Doing
active.
anything. Yeah.
I didn't realize you had to do that yearly. So got a very angry letter through the door from His Majesty's Revenues and Customs Service. Being like, your accounts are overdue. I'm like, what accounts? I haven't got no
Yeah. Yeah.
accounts. Got nothing to tell you.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah, you got to do that every year. So that was like
Yeah.
another £170 of my money gone on a company that is yet to start trading.
Oof.
Um,
That's kind of
uh,
high. Yeah, I have to pay I think 50 US a year just to register the keep the business registered.
Oh man, it was like 49 plus VAT for the dormant accounts. Then it's like another 100 plus VAT for filing like tax, despite the fact I've
Had
not
no
earned
tax to file.
anything.
Yeah.
Not no tax to file, but you've got to file it. And so this is absolutely despicable. And I'm not. I'd rather just get someone to do it. When I'm open and I'm running it, I'm hoping to take it all on and do it all myself. And I know a couple of people who are accountants who will no doubtly be very handy in that time
Sure.
period. Um, what was it? I suppose was it easy to learn? Is probably the wrong question. How steep would you say the learning curve was going into it and being like, whoa, what's all this now?
Uh, it actually wasn't that bad. A lot of the
No.
stuff with like Shopify or whatever is automated. So it's really just learning their interface and to learning how to do it. I had a little bit of background with web stuff going through my education, so I could tweak the website a little bit, just knowing a little bit of scripting and uh,
Okay.
HTML basically, but not much. I mean, it was really pick template, set up template, press go. I mean,
I
essentially,
like that actually.
yeah. So it was not bad. And again, it's maybe I'm oversimplifying it. I was furloughed. I wasn't going into work for COVID, so I had lots of time to read and create the business. Like I could not. I'm fairly sure if COVID hadn't happened and I was just going to work regularly, I wouldn't have a shop right now.
No. It's, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons it's been delayed so much for me is because I didn't get furloughed, not as much as people like to tell me I was. Um, I,
Sure.
we we were office based. They basically just said work from home.
Yep.
They'd already given us laptops well before the pandemic hit. They were moving everyone's laptops just in case anybody ever needed to work from home.
There you go.
So I was on paternity when the pandemic hit, and I remember being called by my manager, and she was like, "Hey, you've still got your laptop, haven't you?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." She's like, "Can you connect it to the VPN via your home internet?" I was like, "Oh, of course I can."
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, because you ain't coming back to the office." I literally have worked longer now out of my parents' like office space than I ever worked in the office working for.
Oh, crazy. Yeah. So
Um,
you're still working remote.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Oh
never
wow.
going back, and especially now because they've moved, they've got rid of us. They've two would us over to another company, and that company don't have office space. They don't do offices. Everybody works from home. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
I'm never going to
that's
be stepping back fucking uppers again.
I think a lot of the world is changing into that. Although there is some we read in the news here in the U.S. every now and then about I guess some of the bigger companies wanting to get back to an office
Yeah,
and kind of almost threatening people that if you don't come back into the office at least so many days a week, we're going to fire you, etc. So I think they're trying to get back to a little bit of in office,
yeah.
but obviously the workforce isn't having it.
I I I'm a bit thingy on it. So I like the fact because basically I worked in Stoke. So to put that into context, it's like depending on traffic, could be a 15-minute drive. It could be a 45-minute drive. Really depends on traffic. I have to get on a road called the A500, which is renowned for not being the most cooperative of roads. Um, so I could set off from here at like 7 in the morning and maybe not get to work till 7:45. I could set off
Ugh,
here at 7 o'clock in the morning and maybe be there by 20 past. It depended on
you
the day of
just
the
don't know.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, so so a part of me is like, I no longer have to do that drive. I save an absolute fortune on diesel.
sure,
I'm barely putting any diesel in my car at the moment. Um, and then it's like that's great, but on the flip side, sitting on my own in a little box room with my dad downstairs because he's retired, so he's downstairs potting around. I mean, I get that going home and going to work experience because I don't live with my parents anymore. I commute in, and then so I get that, but I I don't know. Part of me would like to be back in the office and be with people, but then
sure.
on the flip side of that, I'm very happy with the money I'm saving, not and the time I'm saving, not traveling, which I'm very grateful for. So I don't know. It's a bit of a
Yeah,
uh,
unfortunately, I have my job is very hands-on, on
uh,
kind of manual labor, so installing things. So I don't have that option.
yeah. I remember you saying when we were in Birmingham actually that you do a lot of traveling for work.
Yeah,
Um,
going around the world basically to do IT upgrades, installs, configurations, all that kind of stuff.
how's the Marriott miles going? Are we still topping up?
Trying. Yeah, the Marriott is they're hard actually to find. It's definitely a U.S. more centric brand, so they're harder to
Mm.
find internationally. UK is different. I can find them in the UK enough, but in other countries, Marriott's not that big. So,
Oh, okay.
fortunately, I have other programs with Hilton and other things, but mostly, I can be more consistent with the airlines. So I have a lot of status with United Airlines
Oh,
in
nice.
particular, just because the airport I'm right next to, they primarily fly, United is like a hub there kind of thing. So I mostly just fly United.
Ah, yeah. What you say, like, because obviously we didn't know the Moxie was a Marriott,
Yeah.
and then we're in there like, oh, it's a Marriott hotel. Oh, okay, yeah. It's like, yeah, I
I
got
had
my
never heard
miles.
of it either until I went to the UK. Like I apparently they have them in the US. Like New York has a
Okay.
Moxie and some others, but yeah, when I had never heard of it. So somebody else had told me about it. And they said, "Oh, it's actually a Marriott property," and I was like, "Interesting." So that's why I had
Oh.
booked it. But yeah, I like it.
With the super secret meeting room by the bar.
I don't want to know what that room is. They said it was a karaoke room, but that was not karaoke going on in that room. So
That was yeah,
no,
yeah. She came out of that room. She'd not touched a drop of her drink.
nope, nope. And we would have heard them singing. I'm pretty sure.
At
One way or
least
the
some
other,
kind of
actually.
music.
Yeah.
Some kind of music. There was no music playing from that room.
No, you couldn't
Um,
hear a bass line. You couldn't hear anything. Yeah.
yeah, you know what? I keep watching that. I can't help myself. I always
And
love
actually,
what.
she looked pretty disappointed coming out of that room.
I think she was disappointed. He was clearly not in like because I think he worked behind the bar. So I'll put this into context. So we're sat at this table. Myself. This is before Az turned up, wasn't it? So it'd be
Mm,
myself, you, Mason, and
Mason, yeah.
Dave, and and this young lady and young gentleman come walking past us and open a door that we didn't even know was
No,
there
it was like out
and
of nowhere.
enter this secret room on like the left hand side of us
Yeah.
and we're like what the hell is that. And then I think Az joins us then and then like maybe 10 minutes after they exit the room, she's not touched a drop of her drink.
Yep.
He's just looking as miserable as he was when he went in, and like you said, she looked a little bit disappointed. So God knows what happened, but
Yeah. Either they had a fight or either they, had just some alone time.
had some
It's
alone time, cuddling.
a little bit, a little heavy petting.
Every pet. They're cuddling in a very special way. Um, but yeah, it was just really funny. And even As was like, "We should go in there."
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
like, but I can't help it. I keep watching the video of him what he did from Birmingham. And it's just that bit where he's coming out of the hotel in the door, and then he's like, "I'm going around again."
Oh, yeah. And then he gets stuck.
and they get stuck.
So
Everyone
perfect.
just stood outside laughing. It's like this guy. Um, and then, of course, he spends more than any of us in the restaurant, and he doesn't eat a drop of. He doesn't eat a single morsel of food.
No, just the dude can drink. It's going out with him is so much fun.
Yeah,
Like he does that. Like what he did that night where he bought, what was it, four? Was it four or
4
two?
cocktails. Yeah,
Four
she was like, "It's
cocktails all
buy
at
one
once.
get one free. Do you want one or two?" He's like, "Two." So do you want the two, like buy one get one free, or do you want two and get two free? He's like, "No, two."
Yeah,
It's like,
and
I want
boom,
four
four showed up.
drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He like I don't know if you saw it, but he later posted the video where he and I had met up at Spoons.
Yes.
Yeah, and in that instance, he like ordered two pitchers of a cocktail, and
Yeah.
I I didn't catch it when he ordered it. I don't think because I remember them setting them down, and I was like, What are you doing? Like, do you need a straw? Like, it's nope. Just yep. It
I,
was. I was very very impressed.
I used to think I was a drinker. I'm put to shame by that man's prowess when it comes to downing ale.
He's so fun to do that with too. Like even if
Mm.
I can't quite keep up with him, he's a blast to
Yeah,
drink
because
with.
you can sort of see in the video us all sitting just looking at him, and he's just like, "Wah!" We're all there like, "Oh boy."
Yep, yep,
An absolute legend. Um,
absolutely.
has running the website been? Has it been pretty smooth sailing? Has there been any sort of massive things where you've been like ready to just click the X button in the top right and close the site down?
um, not not really. I mean, I'm a pretty easygoing guy, so like I don't get a lot of emotion or passion into it just because I don't think I should, because that can be unhealthy. Um, the only time I got a little scared was it a recent set. Was it? I get it. Was it Uprising or was it Dynasty? I think it was Uprising, the supplemental, not the.
Dynasty.
It was
Dynasty's
Dynasty.
sub.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Dynasty, the supplemental set. Though the cards in that set really were where they kind of started shifting the game design, and instead of power creep, they were actually quite a bit less powerful and
Mm.
weren't game breaking, which is, I think, probably a great decision. Like I think that's when Gottlieb started joining in and helping with the design decisions. I think it was a good decision. However, for a single store, and I went on Kel's channel and talked about this a little bit. Um, those cards did not sell for a lot. So like the legendaries were going for $12 US.
Yeah.
The majestics were selling for 50 cents, and I can't make a profit that way. So other than the Marvels, essentially, those were the only ones that really brought in any money. I
Yeah.
I did not even cover my initial investment for that set. So I
Wow.
also really just had poor luck with my pulls on that set. Um, didn't pull that. I think I pulled one fabled, if I remember right, or
Wow.
I think I did 150 boxes for that, or 140 boxes. And I just didn't do well on it, and so that feels bad. However, every set
Mm.
prior to that had treated me quite well. So I wasn't going to give up. I just
No.
made a note that that was not a good set for me, and kept going. And it's gotten better. The This one has been a little tough too. Dust Till Dawn. Outsiders was really good. I had some good luck with that one. Dust Till Dawn. I haven't again had good luck with the Marvels, which is really where the money is for this particular
Mm.
set as well. And the legendaries, unfortunately, have really dropped in value. So,
They have. They've
yeah,
absolutely uh, plummeted.
but I'm not
Like,
I'm not down
yeah.
on it. So it's not as bad as I was with Dynasty. It's just it's not making as much as I would hope to kind of justify doing it. Um, I've got well, I don't really know what to think about Bright Lights as from a single seller perspective. I was originally pretty concerned because it's a very targeted mechanologist set.
Yes.
So I was like, as a singles retailer, are people that don't play mechanologist going to buy any of it? So I don't know. I'm getting a little more or less apprehensive about it as I'm seeing these spoilers that have started to trickle out that are non-mech
Yes, I was going to
cards.
ask you how you're feeling about them. Actually, yeah,
So the couple like that assassin majestic that just came out, really really good
the
card, I think.
the 2 for 6, the attack.
Yes,
Yeah, does look
uh,
good.
that one looks really good. So I think maybe there's enough cards in there that it'll help me as a singles retailer to recoup costs and hopefully be net positive. I did go in a little less than I normally do just to hedge myself a little bit. So I
Yeah.
didn't buy an initial allotment as much as I normally did, just to kind of test the waters.
Mm.
So we'll see. But I'm not at this point at all concerned about going into the red at all.
Okay.
So I'm not for sure for the year. I feel very good about that. So I'll be in the black for the year. If that ever did start to happen, I'd have some concerns, and that would actually probably just tell me that there's either enough uh, resources out there for people to buy singles that I'm
Mm.
not needed, and or the market is just saturated, and it's
Mm.
hard to work in a saturated market. So uh, it's likely to be one of the two. And either way, I can make those decisions as I come, but I'm not considering it currently.
Yeah, because at the moment in the UK, we've seen sort of a bit of a surge in single sellers. So Mox in the Hole, Thistle Tavern, you got Flesh and Blood cards. Then obviously you've got Card Market, which
Mm-hmm.
is your big.
Yeah, it's like the TCG player of Europe. Yeah.
Yes, basically, yes. That's where I get. I've had a lot of my dribs and drabs from. Like, oh, I'm missing this. I need this. Um, that's where I'm getting a lot of mine
Yep.
from.
No, I see
Um,
TCG player as the biggest market for cards in the US. So I try to match, for the most part, the prices at TCG player. However, um, where I really try to kind of step up is my service. I will not ship without tracking, no matter how small of an order it is. So all orders are tracked. I pack what I say is I pack how I would like to receive cards. So I ship cards in a way that are protected. Every card gets a sleeve.
yeah.
I put things in the package to kind of make it more rigid. I use a fairly rigid bubble mailer,
Yep.
and just protect them. And I'm a little OCD, and so that comes into this, and how I pack and how I ship, and just when I mess up, I fully own up to it and I make it right without having any more of costs to the customer. So like I just try to provide as good a customer service as I can to help bring people back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this actually neatly brings me on to my next question. Actually,
Sure.
um, those little cardboard envelopes you ship your cards out in are spectacular, and I've actually because I occasionally sell some singles online,
Hmm.
mainly eBay, just the odd one or two. If I pull anything that I don't want or get prices I don't want, I sell them
Yeah.
on. I have actually saved them
Oh
to
yeah.
reuse them
No, they're fantastic. They're
because they're
recyclable. They're
yeah.
reusable. And I'll give a shout out to Shipping Shield. That's the company.
Is it?
Yeah, it's another small business guy. He's fantastic. You can find him on Twitter and follow him there. Shipping Shield is his handle, at Shipping Shield or whatever. Um, but uh, yeah, I've followed him for a little while when he first started, and he actually was selling out like crazy. And
Nice.
later he started printing on them. So like my newest ones have the logo on them and everything.
Yeah.
And I love them over top loaders for the fact that I feel better about sending them out because they provide just as much protection, but they're recyclable and they're reusable in the same. So it's not plastic. So
Mm.
it's just better.
Yeah, I'm like so put it into context for anyone who hasn't ordered from you. Yeah, you get a very very nice protected envelope now. Um, also get a little notepad for the
The
health tracker.
scorekeeping pad. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Life health
fantastic.
tracking pad.
And
That's part of what makes it rigid. Like that's the purpose for that is to make the package, not the cards won't be bent, etc.
yeah, and also quite often a handwritten note. Thank you for your
Yeah,
order.
I try to just do a quick thank you on the note, especially if you're a repeat customer. If I know you,
Mm.
I'll write a little something on there. It really like just in case someone gets one without that. Sometimes, especially at release, the volume is so high I don't have time to hand do all of them. But as the volume decreases, I do my best to make it personable and to kind of you know show you that I care essentially.
Mm. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's one of the reasons I've come back. Like I've been not just because of through as, but because it's like, well, actually, you know what? Yeah, shipping to get to the
Yeah,
UK. Everyone's just got to understand that. But the nice package, the pad, the nice note. Like it was like, oh hey Tom, looking forward to meeting you in Birmingham. Yeah, looking forward to meeting you in Birmingham, mate. You know what? Absolutely fantastic. You can't really beat that. And as you said, we had a minor incident. I got a non-foil card instead of a foil one. You're like, not a
yeah,
problem. Send it out for you. And literally, you sent it out for me. It wasn't even a problem. It's like, yeah, keep the non-foil one, whatever. Just yeah, I'll get your card out to you. That's the type of thing that I appreciate. And I know when I've had issues when I've been selling things before, it's been like, okay, this is what we'll do. Let's sort it out. And it's been very like I've had positive feedback on orders haven't that's been returned or orders that haven't completed or whatever. And I've had
yeah,
positive feedback because they've been like, you know what, the guy was super nice to speak to. He sorted the problem out. And that person has then actually bought from me again, weirdly enough.
yeah,
um, and yeah, that's how you get that positive reputation. That's how you get people knocking back on the door. I'm hoping, again, touch wood, that will be the result when I get a physical store that people will go, actually, I know this guy. He's
absolutely.
sounds a pound. He'll sort me out. Actually, I will do a little spin story here. Actually, the card in question was Oblivion, the
Yep,
set specialization.
yep,
Um, I took so the foil one is in my collection, my personal folder full of cool foils that I like the look of.
sure,
Um, and I took the non-foil one with me to Leeds because I was going to play as Vincent.
nice.
Then I made the decision to play as Chain. Um, and if you have watched, I didn't play as either. I ended up playing as KO because I lost two cards from my chain deck.
Oh,
And I don't know where they are. I still haven't found them now.
oh,
Um,
geez.
but I then thought it's fine. I'll just play as Vincent. Then I realised I'd done a massive trade in to fleshandbloodcards.com
Yeah,
because they had a Bravo Star of the Show Coalfoil Marvel. And I had a load of stuff in my folder that they wanted. And then we got to £52. They wanted 60 for the card.
hmm,
We got to £52. And I was like, they were like, have you got anything else that you might want to get rid of? And I literally was like looking through their buy list and I was like, they want non-foil oblivions. And because at this point I'd already decided to play as chain, I
yep,
was like, okay. So they gave me like £3 for the that, and then they
yeah,
gave me a fiver for a, a foil common I had in my folder. They're like, oh, we'll give you money for that. I was like, okay, have it. So I ended up, luckily, it ended up getting me a Bravo Star of the
I helped you
Show.
get a cold foil Bravo. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I sat there afterwards. I was like, I need to tell Jim about that actually because I'm sure there'll be a point of him.
That
It's like,
makes it even more special. That's awesome.
yeah, it's like, and yeah, it was super awesome. The guy handed it me. I was like, because he was like, "Oh, I'm selling them for 60." I was like, "Well, it's still quite expensive," but I was looking through his buy list. I've got loads of these cards in my trades folder. I just handed him my trades folder, and he just pulled half of it out.
Yeah,
Like stuff, I was like, "It's been sat in there for ages. Why has nobody ever had this stuff off me before?" But this guy was like,
sure.
"I want to buy them. I want to buy them. Get them in. Get them in." And then he was giving me like, if on trade, he was giving me like 10% extra. So he was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'll only give you X, but actually, I'm going to give you X plus 10%." And I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." And I was like, "I'm gonna have to tell Jim about that." So yeah, so thank you, sir.
yeah, of course.
You helped me just
Thanks for
not
the
have to pay.
backstory that or whatever that happened to it. That always warms me up too.
Yeah, like it's like he's now in my extended art uh part of my folder as well, which is pretty sweet. Um so yeah, thank you very much. Next question,
Yeah.
goals for the store. So is there any do you have any goals? Do you want to is there a goal to maybe expand further, maybe get other games in? If is there anything in the future that you want to do?
Sure. It's open. Like I said, I'm really going to have to feel out the market and see how it goes. I don't think I'm actually not that far from retirement from my normal 9 to 5 job. Uh, Once I retire, I don't see just by myself opening up a brick and mortar. If I had some friends that wanted to go into that together, I could see that happening, and I would obviously push to primarily run Flesh and Blood
Hmm.
and help with that. So that's a possibility. Otherwise, once I have more time, I could try to expand the business a little bit, put more effort into it. Really, so that's a possibility. It really just I'm playing it by ear. To be honest, I don't have a specific long term goal. I'm staying flexible and kind of going with the flow, as they say. Um,
Nice.
it's I mean, obviously, I'd like to keep with it. I enjoy the game so
Mm,
much. I like running the store. I like doing that, but it's got to make sense too. But so far, it does.
that's it.
So as long as it makes sense, I'll keep doing it.
Fair play. Do you have any personal goals in the TCG space? Do you do you have maybe an eye on if you say you're gonna have a bit more time on your hands potentially in the future? Do you think actually I'm gonna try hard this and try and get like a PQ under my belt, or try and get a ticket to a try and get an invite to a pro tour? Is there any goals in that category?
So the closest thing to that I'd say is yeah, I 100% absolutely looking forward to playing more once I have more time, just in general, and that could I'm sure lead to doing more tournaments and performing better in them, et cetera, and being able
Mm,
to get to the higher level. However, what I'm really looking forward to is however they put out PVE. And I will
okay.
probably put a lot into the PVE just because it's again, I'm a big fan now of D&D.
Mm,
I really like playing it. And to me, that's D&D with cards. So um, I'm no doubt they're going to do a fantastic job. So when they do eventually unveil that, I'll go all in.
okay. Nice. Have you ever random question actually, we'll throw it at you. Have you ever played any of like the co-op LCGs like Arkham Horror or Lord of the
I
Rings?
so badly want to. I just don't have the time. I've actually
Yeah.
bought. Kel kind of advised me on what to buy originally. He's a huge fan of Arkham Horror, as
Yeah, no.
he said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um, and so I have bought some of the starter stuff. It's
Oh,
just
nice.
I don't. Um, Most of the people I play right now with in person tabletop games, it's not Flesh and Blood. We're playing D&D.
Uh,
So I've pitched it to them, and I've had some interest, but we just haven't nailed down a time to like figure it out and play it. So I would
oh,
really like to. I think I would really enjoy it. But the Flesh and Blood PVE is going to be. I'm already a foot in the door because it's Flesh and Blood.
Flesh and
So
Blood, yeah.
it'll be easier to go to the local game store and hey, let's
Yeah.
get an adventure going. Or even online. Like I have a
Yeah.
feeling that will be conducive to webcam kind of games more so than the competitive PVE PvP play. Uh, we'll
Yeah.
see, but uh, any way I can, I know I'm gonna be thoroughly into it.
Yeah. I'm quite looking forward to PV, I must admit. I'm big on Arkham Horror. That's how me and Kel actually started talking in the first place, because I'd put into his Discord, had like an Arkham Horror channel at one point, and I was like one of like
Yeah,
maybe three people writing
yeah,
in
he
there.
was the one that really. I had heard of it and I had interest in it, and then he just really escalated that interest.
Yeah, it's such a good game. I've tried to get. I had a play group. Unfortunately, one of them's moved to Canada, uh, so not had a chance to really set up. And with time being limited as it is, if I get time, I do kind of want it to be Flesh and Blood rather than anything else.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, Arkham's kind of fizzled for me at the moment, but I would love to get it back. I'm hoping my friend's back from Canada over Christmas, and he's already said we need to get like a one shot game going. So
nice.
we're already penciling that in for when he
Hmm.
comes back, and we'll get together and we'll do one of the standalone scenarios, um, which are loads of fun to play through. Um,
Yeah, but that'll be a blast. I'll get
yeah,
to it one day. I really will. I just need to force myself to make time for it.
We need to figure out how we can do it via webcam, and we'll get like Kel on, and I'll
Oh, that'd be a
we'll
blast.
do it with you, and
Yeah.
then we'll find a. I reckon Hazard love it. He keeps umming and ahhing about it. I reckon Hazard love it.
Oh, I don't
Um,
think it would take much to convince him to play. Yeah.
no, because he loves the like the Eldritch horror games and the
Hmm.
Arkham horror board games and stuff like that. So I don't think it's a far shift to pull him in. I keep saying we'll do it, dude. We'll do it. Um, right, well, dude, that we will leave it there.
Okay.
It's been an absolute blast having you on, sir. Um,
Oh, thanks a lot, man. It has. It's been so much fun.
Before we get out of here, I will open the floor for you to plug everything, anything, anywhere you are.
Yeah, I haven't been terribly active on social media. I'm most active on Twitter of all the platforms. So you can find me on Twitter at FabTCGcards. Obviously, the website is fabtcgcards.com. If you support either Kel or Steven, so either Red Zone Rogue or DM Armada, their Patreons, you actually can get, or as, excuse me. So any of the three, all three of them give out a 10% off code every month. That's good for one order, 10% off the site. So that's a good way to kind of collect everything you need at one time and get 10% off of it. So that's primarily where you'll find me online and what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm on Discord quite a bit, so you can find me through there. But otherwise, hopefully, Az and I will do another Azalea Cult soon, and you'll see me there.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for listening. You can follow us on social media: Instagram, Big Boss Book Club; X, Big Boss 010; Facebook, Big Boss Book Club. You've already heard the Hive social malarkey. You can now also listen to this show on YouTube. It will be released the day after this comes out in audio. Big Boss Book Club. Please give us a like, follow, subscribe. If you do subscribe, you will receive some exclusive content thrown through your window, wrapped in porn, just so you can hide the degeneracy of what you're actually listening
You
to.
know what? I'll throw a 10% off code for your exclusive folks. I'll have to give to you. So if you subscribe, you get a 10% off code from Fat TCG Cards as well.
Oh, see, there you go. Even more reasons to follow. Go give us a follow. Go subscribe, and do the right thing. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This has been Jim from FabTCGcards.com. I'm Big Boss. We are out. Peace.